Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. Great to be back together with you again here once a week on these shows. First off, thanks very much for all the time and attention everyone places and the efforts they put into put comments and questions and topics in these shows. The level of sophistication is getting great and the types of questions. So your efforts really help the channel. Thanks very much. As always, please remember to like and subscribe and share these shows and also hit the notification bell so you know when these shows are available and uploaded. All those things really help the channel. In addition, if anyone needs to book a session with me, very easy to do. Just navigate to sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book online tab, and my calendar is always up to date. My office staff does a great job of doing that. So I want to also congratulate from last week, we hit 18,000 subscribers to the channel. Thank you again for all the subscribers and all the help. Congratulations to the two winners of the two separate half-hour sessions, one with myself and one with Linda Grindle. And as always, we'll continue the contest every time we reach a new level of 1,000 subscribers. So the next level will be 19,000 subscribers. And as soon as we reach that level, we'll select another winner of a free half-hour session with myself, and then a separate winner with a free half-hour session with Linda Grindle. And the way you enter the contest is by supplying comments to these shows, starting off with the word love. And as long as you're a subscriber, you're fully entered into the contest, and that's how we draw the names. So one of the things I want to start off this show with was just a couple of quick items. We're going to do a top 30 countdown, but very often I get asked a couple of things about the formats of these shows and how they get put together and how the questions come about. So I thought I'd just spend a couple of minutes on that, giving a little bit of a baseline, a little perspective, if you will, on these shows. So some people always ask, how do these shows get put together and the process behind it? And very simply, both Daniel, that works with Linda Grindle, and my wife, Linda, go through just an exhaustive list of questions. Some are several hundred questions every week, and try to determine which questions are most appropriate, haven't been answered, and will help the most number of people. And then they kind of screen it down to a general list of topics and general question areas. And then they do pass those by me. Now, what I mean by that is that I always want to make sure the topics are appropriate, or they're subjects that I think is appropriate to discuss. There might be some things regarding maybe terrorism in the world or something of that nature that may not be appropriate for the show. So we do try to do a little pre-screening in terms of what topics and kinds of questions. But once all the questions are finalized, what you see is that I respond to them real time on these shows. So that's how it all comes about. That's how kind of the process behind the scenes. Another question people ask all the time is that as people are on their spiritual journey, they may ask, how do you tell your friends that you have psychic mediumship abilities? And my suggestion is that for anybody doing this work and starting out on the journey, they start out by just telling people you're highly intuitive. And then you can help them with whatever information you get. Hopefully that's instructional to them. And then the more you get comfortable, and the more, let's say, your close group of friends or people you interact with get comfortable, you can share more about your gift and how you receive the information. But I would say start off just saying you're intuitive and providing assistance wherever you can. It's all about helping, and then go on from there. And another question I get asked all the time is, was your wife aware of your abilities? And the answer is yes. But interestingly enough, she was really the one that was supportive in a way, or pushed me out in the public more. So she knew about my abilities and would always ask me questions, at home at night about people she was working with or interacting with, and I would provide information. But I really never wanted to come out publicly, so to speak. So I would say that I owe it to the two Lindas in my life, my wife Linda and Linda Grindle, and also Fred Fassett, who was a wonderful friend and a psychic medium based in Santa Barbara, who has since passed away. But my wife was always aware of my gifts and then helped kind of push them out in public. And I'm also very grateful to Linda Grindle and Fred Fassett. So hopefully that's helpful. It's a little bit of background, a little upfront information as we start this week's show, which is really being recorded for Sunday, August 29th. So now let's get into the top 30 countdown list of frequently asked questions as supplied by all of you. And thanks again for doing that. Number 30 in our countdown, will those responsible for all attacks against the US and Afghanistan receive retaliation? Yes, and we've already started to see that overnight. I think that's already been on the news of the first planner that was taken down. But my sense of things is that over the next couple of weeks here, you're going to see continued retaliation and efforts against terrorists in Afghanistan, the ones that execute attacks against the U.S. So the answer is yes. I do see retaliation ongoing against all those that attack the U.S. 29 in our countdown. At least 2 readers have predicted Afghan forces from the northern part of the country will attack the Taliban and gain power over them. What do you see? What I see is that there's certainly what used to be referred to as a Northern Alliance in Afghanistan, and those were certainly responsible for that last larger war 20 years ago. But I do see a number of terrorist groups, and I don't want to name them all here, but I do see at least 3 different terrorist groups joining what was kind of what's left of the Northern Alliance and kind of attacking the Taliban. But what I don't see is that them being able to take over full control over the Taliban. So I do see, skirmishes and wars and fighting, but I don't see them taking over the country from the Taliban. Number 28, our countdown. The roles that Pompeo and Stephen Miller played in what's been happening in Afghanistan have come to light. Will there be investigations and consequences? Yes, because for me, this all goes back to 45 and negotiations that were ongoing then to try to remove the then current president of Afghanistan. And yes, I do see consequences because the negotiations that went on then to try to exert influence in various areas of Afghanistan are still in effect right now. So I do see consequences coming for a lot of that behavior, and we'll see it play out in the media, most likely by the end of this year. Number 27. Will DeJoy attempt to tamper with the California recall election of Governor Newsom? No, I don't see outwardly a large effect on him moving that election or that recall election for Governor Newsom. I do see Newsom staying in control and maintaining governorship. And I also see Biden somehow getting involved in the Board of Governors with the USPS to try to get somebody else replaced there over the next few months here, getting DeJoy out and a new postal commissioner in, looks like to me within about 3 months. So I don't see DeJoy affecting the election. And I do see Biden working, behind the scenes with the 9 governors to get a replacement in there. All right. 26 in our top 30 countdown. Biden fired Andrew Saul, who is in charge of Social Security. Was there corruption or obstruction behind the scenes? And what does the future of Social Security look like now that he is gone? So a lot of this was very public with Biden's firing of Andrew Saul. But what I see there is that with this corruption or there was really a stoppage of Social Security payments and a lack of approvals. And then there was some lying going on, which is why Saul was replaced or fired. But I do see now that over the next month or two, it looks like we'll get a new Social Security administrator or commissioner in there, and that we'll get things, back to normal, if you will. I know there's an acting Social Security administrator commissioner in there right now, and then we'll see a permanent replacement. I'll give you over the next 1 to 2 months here, and then Social Security will be much more normalized. Number 25 in our countdown, the demonstration in Portland with the Proud Boys and left wing. The police did not interact. Will this continue and or escalate? Well, I think what we're going to be seeing here is a lot of police forces standing back over the next number of months here as regulations and federal guidelines come about for better policing and policing within states. So I do feel that police forces are standing back just a little bit because they don't feel the political and the federal government support. But within a few months here, you're going to see federal policies rolling out towards policing, and that's going to restore some of the confidence of police forces, and then probably see a little more interaction with some of these, some of these forces like the Proud Boys. So it's what happened in Oregon, or sort of Portland anyway, is not going to go on for a long time. But within a few months here, we'll start to see more normalized interaction of the police going after and maintaining order. Number 24. Will Congress get the information requested from Arizona on the fake audit? And if so, what will it reveal? Yes. So they're going to get the information as it stands from this group, which is really not a professional audit group, but the information will be indeterminate and inconsequential. So it's really not going to produce the kind of results that, say, the GOP or the right wing wanted it to. They'll be very, inconsequential and indeterminate. So nothing to worry about there, but Congress will get the results of the audit that was done. Number 23, Charlie Watts, drummer of the Rolling Stones and a jazz drummer, died. Does he have a message for us? He does. It's interesting. He lived a very normalized life, even as a Rolling Stone, and he actually, sends love to his wife. I think it was Shirley, and daughter Serafina, or something of that nature. But sending love to the family, and the fact that in a joking way, he actually is going to haunt his bandmates next few months. So it's almost a promise he made, a little bit of a joke. The music industry is funny, but I do feel that in a funny way, he's going to try to haunt Mick and Keith and have some fun with them. But he's very happy on the other side, sending love to his family, and certainly he adored his wife in a 57-year marriage. He was married almost as long as he was in the Rolling Stones, something like 60 years, I think in the 6 decades. So anyway, Charlie Watts, great guy, and that's a simple message he has right now. Number 22, I had a reading with my mother coming through. She was bitter and accusing. I was told she did not cross over to the light. Is this why? Can you explain this type of behavior coming from the other side? This does not sound like any kind of spiritual behavior that I've witnessed. So I'm not sure where this information is coming from, but nearly everybody, when you pass over and cross over into the light, you really do step into a whole area of supreme love. It's overwhelming, and it's really a space of learning and understanding. And no one really comes through with anger and angst and accusing. So I would just say that wherever you receive the information, I guess just be careful how you receive the information, because that's not like any spiritual journey or crossing over experience that I've ever seen. I've talked with a lot of them. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Number 21. Will we ever have an education system designed for children, treating each as a unique individual with a recognition of the gifts that each possesses? Yes. I'm being told that within 2 decades, within 20 years here, we'll have some artificial intelligence technology that will do a very quick, easy analysis of kind of the creative artifacts and the way that a person best learns. Just kind of a very fast analysis using some very deep data and quantum computing. And then from there, there'll be like a customized lesson plan. So I do see that happening, integration of a number of technologies, then for more of a customizable learning plan for students. Absolutely. Number 20 in our top 30 countdown. Do the ETs think humans do anything right? Are there things that they find pleasantly surprising? Yes, all of the ETs, in fact, all of the species find that humans' ability to love and be compassionate and care are very important, and they're attributes that they greatly respect and try to understand all the time. So love, caring, spirit, these are all things that ETs believe that humans do well and have access to. Granted, a number of human beings are down here on the planet learning some very dramatic lessons, but ETs certainly respect those attributes in humans. Number 19, our countdown. My nephew passed away a few years ago. He really loved Star Wars. Can those who pass on still keep up to date on new shows they missed out on because they passed? I always wished he was around to watch these new chapters of Star Wars with me. Yes. So, it's interesting. When you pass over, you do have very direct access to the Akashic records. The Akashic records are everything past, present, and future for all things, for all time. And so, interestingly enough, he'll actually catch some of the shows before you do because there's access to future events. So, the answer is a resounding yes, absolutely. Number 18, do you see humans ever being able to photosynthesize? Good question. I do, but for me, this is more like 100 years in the future. And if you look at photosynthesis, that's really the ability to translate the sun's energy or the sunlight into energy. And plants do this very well. Right now, to a certain extent, humans can do it, but at a very small rate, so it's not enough to sustain life. But within 100 years, it does look like that there is medical advances, technology to enable humans to photosynthesize, to turn sunlight into energy at a level that is sustainable for human life. So it'll be just one part of an extra additional benefit that people will have down here on Earth. Number 17, I'm interested to know the spiritual meaning behind trafficking of people. And is this all written in their soul contracts? Really, in simply put, this is just another life lesson, is that everything that occurs down here on Earth is all part of a life contract and a life path blueprint, and everybody's life path and blueprints intersect. So whenever you have an experience like that down here, it is predestined, it's on a life path, and there's learning going on by not just the people involved in it, let's say the perpetrators, but also the victims, and then daytime victims will move forward in their life path and help other victims. So it is all part of a life lesson. It is. Number 16, our top 3 countdown. You have spoken many times that we're all part of a soul family. When we marry, is the person we marry also part of our soul family, or do they become part of our soul family? They are part of our soul family. So when you come down here, all of us have hundreds of people in our extended soul family on the other side. These are, relatives and people we married or divorced or adopted children or adopted parents, all part of our extended soul family. And they all part of a soul family is really the question here. People you marry, they're already part of it. So before you come down here, there's an agreement on kind of the roles you'll play. It's almost like a Broadway play. When you come in, everybody agrees on the roles you're going to play, and here's how it's going to go, and here's the life lessons. And when the play's over, you come out of the theater and you're back outside again, kind of with your extended soul family, and then you reap all the rewards of the lessons and things that went on. So people you marry are part of your soul family. Number 15, will Congress ever pass a bill that allows Medicare to bargain with big pharmaceutical companies over medication prices? We're already seeing TV ads against allowing it in my state. This question applies to Medicare and pharmaceutical companies and pricing. Yes, absolutely. And the biggest factor is that you're going to see very large companies like Amazon, Amazon Pharmaceutical, Amazon Medical, but there'll be other companies that will move into the drug markets and pharmaceutical markets and create dramatic competition and dramatic price drops. So by virtue of that, Medicare will get involved in lowering prices based on the supplies of medicine from other areas. So yes, and I'm being told that within about 5 years, we'll probably see some very dramatic effects in this area. Number 14, in our top 30 countdown. I have always felt we get to know the truth of situations and others in our current life once we cross over, and we have an instant understanding of them and their motives, feelings, etc. which brings clarity and answers. Any comment on this? Yes, because when we cross over, we all start an immediate life review, and in which case you go through and you feel everything the others felt when you dealt with them, and you do get a deeper understanding of all the interactions you had with people and what was behind it and their intent. So absolutely, it's all part of the crossing over process and then preparing kind of for the next life or whatever you're going to do going forward. Absolutely. Remember, it's all school down here. 13. The other day, I saw a dark figure glide down the hall past the open doorway to my office where I was sitting. I thought maybe it was my husband, although he's not that quiet. I went out looking for whatever it was and couldn't find anything. I don't mind that there might be beings floating around, but why dark and not light? What might that be or mean? So there are several elements that should be addressed here. So this isn't dark energy. I want to be clear. This is not the devil or dark energy. There's several factors. And the factors have to do with, one, the spiritual being, whoever it was moving down the hallway. There's a certain ability that they have to show themselves, either as orbs or full apparitions, or maybe it looks kind of like a dark shadow. And the second element to this whole discussion is our ability to see. So every individual on the planet has different abilities at any given time of being able to either perceive a full apparition or an orb or a dark shadow. So there's a combination going on here. This for me feels like this was a family member moving in the house, and maybe the family member does not know yet how to show themselves a full apparition. And maybe in terms of your ability to be able to see or perceive, you can just perceive a shadow. So that's really what's behind it. It's not really dark energy per se. Number 12, New York City Corrections has many correction officers resigning due to the increased violence on Rikers Island. Will this stop, and will the laws be changed, as many feel they are too lenient, which is increasing the violence, as there are no repercussions or punishments? So for me, a lot of this is going to have to do with some prison reform and some new funding that comes, new federal funding that comes to the prisons, really over the next 5 years. So it's during like the Biden presidency or presidencies, plural. And I do see more funding coming to the prisons over the next 5 years. So this is going to start to help and produce the larger teams of people and more guidelines. And so, I mean, I see improvement in these areas. It's unfortunate that right now things are such a mess and so many corrections officers are resigning, but I do see improvement in that really within the next 5 years. Number 11, in our top 30 countdown, could you please give us an exercise to help us learn our spirit guide's name? Sure. You know, one of the best ways, if you're starting out brand new, names can be rather difficult from the other side if you're starting out brand new. So a good way to start is to obviously start communicating with your guides and angels. There's techniques for that, but then ask them for, let's say, a sound like, if you will. So sometimes they can't always say their full name, or you won't always perceive their full name, but ask them to start out with, what does the name sound like? So for example, they might indicate for you it's a hard K sound, like a Kathleen or a Chris or Christopher, like a hard K sound. And you can kind of start out there. And as you move forward over days or weeks of communicating with your guides, once you get that far, ask them for some other sign that representative of their name. So you might end up running to a lot of Thomases at work or Christines or something. So there's a method to it that's, if you're starting out, there's a couple little techniques you can use to start along that journey. And I do find most people can at least get the first kind of sound of their guides' names, whether it's a hard T sound or a C sound or a W. So good way to start out. Number 10 in our top 30 countdown, what are those stairways to nowhere that we continually see out there in the forest, deep woods, and national parks? What I get on that is that there's many different reasons for them. Let me just first say that they're not ET or alien inspired, but what I do see is that a good number of them are architectural, so that there really were buildings there or monuments or something at one time. And then I do get there's another very large group of them that are more what I'll call ceremonial. So whoever built them used them some sort of a ceremony or a practice or something they were doing. Maybe they end up standing on top of them to talk to people, or it was symbolic. So a lot of them are architectural and a lot of them are ceremonial based. Number 9, can we, by our negative questions and focus, change our vibration from a higher to a lower level vibration or frequency? Yes, that's an easy one. Anytime you focus on anything, let's say that's negative, whether it's questions or attitudes or emotions, that does lower your vibrational frequency. And in fact, you can attract people of lower vibrational frequency if, let's say, you're negative or angry all the time. So yes, anytime you focus on anything negative, certainly will bring a lot of that energy to you and people around you. Yes. Number 8. Will there ever be a reliable lie detector so innocent people will not be put in prison and the guilty are in prison? Yes. I mean, what they're telling me is within about 2 decades, within 20 years here, there's going to be technology that is able to like key into certain electrical impulses in the brain. So nothing crazy, but it has to do with the creative side of the mind. So for example, if people are lying, like the creative side of their mind gets heavily engaged, and kind of crafting the lie or whatever it is. So I do see technology over the next 2 decades coming that will help isolate certain brain waves around creativity and understand whether those are being overused and actually then get to a point where you can create some sort of images as well. It's coming. Number 7, the top 3 countdown. Will humans be able to restore lost tropical rainforests? Deforestation in Brazil is accelerating under President Bolsonaro. Yes, but this for me is really almost like a 4-decade process going forward here. My understanding is 20% of the Amazon rainforest is already gone, so it's like 80% left. And it's going down at a rapid pace. But I do see shifting in agricultural and mining activities, turning around the decline that we're seeing right now. But it's going to take 4 decades for it to all come back to the way it's supposed to. Okay, number 6 in our top 30 countdown. Needles, California is on the Colorado River. Will Needles survive the drought and the fact that the river is so low? They will survive the drought, but it's going to be a rough next 3 years. I mean, the overall drought problem around the U.S. is about a 5-year, but I'm seeing with Needles, they've got kind of a critical 3 years here. We'll have to ship in water from other areas. And I believe they're down to 1 well right now. So yeah, this is something that they will make it through, but they're going to have to use some techniques and shipping in water to kind of get through the rough spot here over the next 3 years. Number 5 in our top 3 countdown. For any mammal, I'm thinking of deliberately abused elephants with permanent blindness caused by damaged optic nerves. Will there be a cure in the future? Yes, and we've talked about this, a number of times, but gene editing or CRISPR technology will be implemented within about 15 years here for animals and elephants. So there'll be kind of a progression with CRISPR technology, big advances over the next 5 years, then 5 to 10 years, a lot of advancements for human conditions, and then, I say, almost 15 years from where we are right now, you'll see a lot of applications for animals. Yes. Number 4 in our top 3 countdown, will lab-grown meat replace meat from killing animals soon? Yes, soon's relative. It's going to be a number of years here, but I do see lab-grown meats and also dramatic increases in plant-based meats. I think some of you've seen like the Impossible burgers and things like that around. So plant-based meats and things of that nature are going to be coming around. So I do see lab-grown meat and plant-based meats helping to reduce the necessary killing of animals. Absolutely. Number 3, are animals that die ever earthbound ghosts? No. In fact, as a matter of fact, they come and go quite frequently. So once they pass, they may visit their brothers and sisters or litter mates or families, but animals are not earthbound. They're part of the angelic realm. They move around very, very freely. Absolutely. Number 2 in our top 3 countdown, do you see anything coming up this next week? I do see more announcements from Nancy Pelosi on released documents and strategy for moving the commission forward. Looks like they're going to take some aggressive steps forward there. I do see more discussion around the Voting Rights Act, and that has a lot to do with what's happening now in the next phase of that. By the way, the Voting Rights Act, I really didn't see ever getting through and fully passed by both the House and the Senate till later next year. But it's making some progress now. And I do also see many more U.S. advances in violence over in Afghanistan as a bit of a retaliation effort for what's going on. So yeah, I do see more of that. You'll see more of that coming up in the news this week. And number one, do you have anything your guides want to share? Yeah, take time to balance yourself, at least 15 minutes a day. Take a little bit of time to really get grounded, engage with your guides and angels. And I call that balance. So a good 15 minutes a day, because that only help you, but will help all the people around you. And really, we're all here to help. And so that's something that will not be helpful for you, but all the people around you. So again, thanks for joining us on this particular segment of Sterling Psychic Medium Show. Again, if you need to reach me, very easy, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book online tab. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I want to send you a lot of goodwill, a lot of love for this week. I will also be doing a show with Linda Grindle on Sunday. That's Sunday, August 29th. So you can look for that show as well. So until next week, all the best. I'll see you soon.